YouTube channel. So just be aware that obviously if you're making any statements, please don't identify any individuals for GDPR, etc. So, and if during the course of the meeting, if you're not speaking, can you put yourself on mute? In the meantime as well, if you can open the chat bar and just introduce yourself, your name, your organisation in the chat bar, then that would be really useful too. Thank you. And then we will make a start, because I see we've got a few of our speakers there on now, so that's fab. Okay, well, we'll just go through some of the formalities then while we're waiting others joining us, if that's okay. So I'm Councillor Fiona Fotheringham from the Wishaw ward. I'm joined by some of my colleagues online as well, and obviously some officers from the council who will be able to answer hopefully a lot of your questions tonight if you have any. So you can either raise your hand during the course of the evening and try and come into it. I'm getting some feedback from somebody else. Yeah. That's because I put my mic on now. Okay. Can you still hear me? I'm still getting feedback. Is it quite bad? Normally that's where people love to mute me. Is that better? Fab. Okay. So yeah, if you want to come in at any point, ask any questions, and if you raise your hand, I'll do my best to try and catch you there, or we'll obviously bring you into the conversation. We'll get your questions answered. So we've got a lot of well-kent faces on the teams now. So first thing I'm going to do is just go to Vicky if she's there for any apologies that we may have tonight.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Fotheringham. Not too many tonight. We've got Richard Bolton from Garrian People's Housing Co-op, Robert Owen from CLD, Margot Young from Cleland Community Council, Roberta Hutton, a community member, and unfortunately Leanne Pollock from the Community Partnership team is unwell, so unable to attend tonight. Just to kind of say before you move on, that as the board probably know from the past wee while now, we've been working to recruit a community chairperson, and we now have an interested person, Stuart Chidley of the Overton and Wishaw, Overton and Waterloo Community Council, who's interested in taking us up in this role. He's been a long kind of standing member of the board. He's not able to attend tonight, but he's happy for us to go ahead and propose in his absence that we put him forward for this role. So if we are all happy to agree this, we can go ahead and do that. But also if there is any other interested parties, they can still let us know there's still time to do that. So just to mention that tonight.
Any other volunteers? I don't see any. He's better halves on the call anyway, Vicky. I can say that. He is the better half.
Oh, he's the better half.
Oh, sugar, this has been recorded. I nearly swore there. Right. Would be the first time today a politician swore on a live stream. Anyway, so yeah, Stuart obviously is the chair of Overton and Waterloo Community Council, so I'm sure he would be made most welcome. So if that is okay with everybody moving forward, then that would be fabulous. I'm happy certainly to propose him, and I'm sure that by nodding heads we can probably say happy to accept. Is that correct? Yep. Okay, Vicky? Fabulous, okay. So before we go any further, you've had the minutes sent out for the previous meeting, so if there's any matters arising from those minutes, and the first thing I'll do also is ask for a proposer who's happy to propose the minutes. There's no volunteers, nobody wants to talk to me tonight.
I'll propose in Fiona.
Fabulous. Did you get that? That was Dan Scott. Have we got any seconders? Obviously you should have been there, you should have read them, but 1 out of 2 ain't bad. Anybody there that was here the last time that wishes to second the minutes? Am I allowed to? I'll quite happily do it if I'm allowed. Okay, so Item 4, sorry. So we have got quite a packed agenda today. So we've got the various local priorities, and you'll see that the agenda, if you've read it, is quite full. So the first thing we're going to do is move over to Craig, if we can, for the Town Vision Action Plan. So Craig.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
Thank you. I can hear you loud and clear, Fab.
Right, thanks. Thanks for the opportunity to update you on the progress of the town visions. For those of you who don't know, we moved forward with the town visions for all 8 towns in North Lanarkshire, basically at the height of the pandemic. So we were restricted to online only engagement, and we didn't have an opportunity to reach out in a physical sense to the local communities. However, having said that, we get a markedly higher response from the online consultation than we have done in previous physical consultations, because we set up what was known as a virtual exhibition to allow people to, through the council's website, to effectively visit like a fake town hall and go round the information boards. I'm glad to say that the town vision was approved by the council in September 2021. And since then, we've been moving forward working on the town action plans. Now, the visions were deliberately conceptual. They talked about a direction of travel, and their intent was to shake out interest in that direction of travel from the people who own the town centres, which is the private sector, businesses and landlords. And to a certain extent, we've achieved that in some towns very clearly, in other towns not so visibly and forcibly. But realistically, the detail of the visions is going to be delivered in the town action plan. So the town action plan is going to contain a series of site-specific projects and proposals which the council and its partners are seeking to deliver, and they will accord with the vision. And the vision for Wishaw, like most other town centres, is to try and promote a mixed use for the town centres, to move away from their primarily retail role, because despite our best efforts at a national scale, retailing is going through a significant hard time at the moment, and that was even before the impacts of the pandemic. So while we want to retain retailing as a core activity in the town centre, our main proposal is to try and backfill that loss of retail with town centre living. Now, town centre living is being pushed quite actively by central government in terms of deriving funding allocations, which we can now tap into, but also in terms of policy. Just yesterday, Architecture and Design Scotland printed a research paper on town centre living, and I'm happy to say that the vision for Airdrie was actually featured in that, and 2 of the schemes in Airdrie were featured in that national exemplar of best practice. So we've had a sort of a nod from the community that we're heading in the right direction in terms of our vision for Wishaw and the other towns, but it's nice to get that sort of national nod that we're also in the right direction. So the town action plans, we held a workshop back in September in the Wishaw Library to try and get local views, but the main opportunity for us to receive local views is in the forthcoming public exhibition of the draft town action plan, and that will take place physically in the library, and it'll be held for 6 weeks, and I will be present in the library for one afternoon every week to basically take comments and discuss the proposals with the community. And there's also an online exhibition so that people who can't travel to the library or who may have mobility issues can also see the information and respond to that information. The key thing, Chair, is that we want the public to respond, because effectively it's their town action plan. As officers, it's not ours. Our job is to deliver on behalf of the council, but mainly what we're trying to do through this exhibition is try and build a consensus as to what we want to do. So that's really where we are. Unfortunately, I can't tell you a specific date when we're going to launch in March, because we're still waiting on getting stuff back from the printers, etc. But it will be a physical document that can be viewed, can be downloaded, but there'll also be an exhibition that is a sort of excerpt of the wider document focusing on the main proposals. The main proposals include, for example, the council's commitment to developing a town hub in Wishaw. There's still no clarity on exactly when that will happen and where it will happen, but clearly the vision has to account for that, mainly in terms of ensuring there's connectivity between the town centre and this new hub, but there are also very physical proposals about town centre living on sites such as the Anvil block. I think we'd all agree that it's had its day in the sun and it's really no longer fit for purpose. So we're in the process of doing feasibility studies as to what type of development should replace that Anvil block. And clearly we're at the beginning of that process, but we still feel that that will be one of the projects that will be delivered in the short term, i.e. the next 5 years. But what the action plan will include are short-term projects, which we can be quite definite about, medium-term and long-term projects. So I'm happy to take any questions, Chair, on that very brief and very quick monologue.
We get any questions for the floor for Craig? Okay, Bob.
See one?
Yep. Councillor Burgess.
Yeah, Craig. Sorry, Craig. Interested in the fact you're still mentioning the hub, which we're not going to get, and we've not got any idea of the time we're going to have on it. Alexander Street is just about to started actually to be reformed into from the old King George V and the Beltane Park right up to Caledonian Road, inclusive of going into Tesco and a path for the station.
Yes.
My big question is, what happens with the rest of that area from the schools that might have been in the hub right up to the Beltane Park? Is there anything getting looked at there other than waiting for a hub?
The hub is the main corporate priority across all of our towns. And to date, while we might be frustrated with the timescale, I think there's still an ambition for us to deliver that hub as the sort of focus for public services in Wishaw. Now, clearly, if those services are going to be located in the hub, my job is to make sure there's connectivity between the existing offering within the town centre and that hub. But in terms of that specific question, Councillor Burgess, about the connectivity between the existing St Aidan's site from the north down into the town centre, that's one of the routes that we're going to identify as being investigated for an active travel route to improve the way that people can connect to the town centre. Active travel is obviously our main focus because we're trying to address the sort of low carbon agenda by trying to get people out of their cars and on into like walking, etc. And it's not a huge distance between that area and the town centre, but you know, it doesn't mean that we're not going to have investment in car parks or continued investment in and promotion of public transport. But we do feel there is a benefit in across a number of factors in that active travel link.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
No, really, because you've just showed me a wee bit of your hand, I think, on mentioning St Aidan's and the walk down through Wishaw. I know that the two preferences were Wishaw, St Aidan's and St Thomas's.
That's right, yes.
Are you saying that we're now looking at the hub being in the St Aidan's area?
No, you mentioned Belhaven Park, which is to the north, so I picked up on St Aidan's and that connection down. So I have no inside information as to which of the two sites which are in play has been decided upon.
I thought maybe you had something up your sleeve there.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely not.
That's my big worry, that that whole area is going to be, well, I mean, in the original plans, the station was going to be the main walking area to get people coming in and going out of the town. And that's already started, as I say, in Alexander Street and the connection to the sports centre and the station. So basically, I'm worried that that's the last we'll get in this area for the next 10 years, probably.
That's not my understanding, Councillor.
Okay, fine. Well, hopefully that is the case. Thank you.
Okay, we've got a few hands up. Can I ask James, you wanted in just now? James McKinstry? Anything to add?
Yeah, just in relation to some of the discussion there about the hub. So it is the council's ambition to create a town hub in Wishaw, and that's also an ambition in other areas as well. But the cost of a town hub is very significant, you know, and you'll be aware. There's a few things that are going on at the moment in terms of, you know, the economic situation that we're all very much aware of, and also the financial position of local authorities as well. So the council will be looking to set a new capital plan, a new 5-year capital plan starting from April 24. That's already been agreed within the council. So we're just about to go into the last year of the current capital plan. So that will give an opportunity for bids to go into that process. A bid for a Wishaw Town Hub may go into that process, but there'll be plenty of other bids that will come from other areas of the council, both in terms of service, but also in terms of geography as well. And it'll be up to the council to determine how it allocates its capital resources going forward. The other thing as well that was previously linked into the possibility of the Wishaw Hub was a bid to the Scottish Government. Now, we don't know at this point whether there'll be a bid process will be available going forward, because just like we're seeing at the local level and at the national level and the European level, etc., just the pressure on finances at the moment is quite incredible. So there's quite a number of things that could come into play as we go forward. But it is the case that there is an ambition to have a town hub in Wishaw. The location of that town hub would not simply be determined by the council. It would require a statutory education consultation. So the community in Wishaw would get a chance to input to that. But you'll recall about 18 months or so ago that across all of the community boards, there was an engagement session for where a kind of informal engagement session. So there is a bit of currency as to where the Wishaw Town Hub could be, but there's been no decision taken as to where it will be. That would have to be subject to a proper statutory consultation.
Thanks for that, James. Jo Chidley, you wanted to come in, please?
Hi everybody, my name's Jo Chidley. I'm the Secretary of Overtown and Waterloo Community Council. It's with regards to the current work in Alexander Street. So recently, or in the last few months, the pathway from Netherton Street, you could then go through Wishaw Sports Centre at the side and come out to be able to get to the train station and to St Thomas's School. The sports centre closed their gates for a lot of different reasons. So what's happening is that people are walking through Beltane Park, and there's a walkway through there. But the challenge with this is that it's not lit at all. So over the winter months, there's employees from Beauty Kitchen, which I know about, and I'm one of those employees, and we walk to the train station, and it's been a challenge. But there's also been some feedback from some friends and families that walk their children to school through Beltane Park as well. And I'm just wondering if there is room to have that lit at some point as part of these, ongoing works. And if there is, what we would need to do to be able to support that. Now, I know I'm representing Overtown and Waterloo rather than Wishaw, but I think it's pertinent to be talked about. Thanks.
You're a Wishaw resident, Jo, you've got every right to ask the question, so that's fab. Dan, is it in a similar thread, or will I get that question answered first?
I was going to basically say about the work with schools regarding active travel, when talking about the active travel path from St Aidan's into the centre of town. Social Tracks work with a number of schools in Wishaw, and strangely enough, St Aidan's isn't one of those schools. We work with the cluster hubs through education, and I just think that there needs to be education needs to be involved more. I mean, I felt that more in general over the years with Lloyds and Community Matters, but I think with the Community Hub, I think that they need to be involved. Social Track would love to be in St Aidan's and Coltness, which I believe are the same cluster. We'd love to be in all those schools, but we don't know the barriers to overcoming that. And that's something that obviously we're working on, but we would like to see it'd be nice to see a better sort of like education involved in this process at the community boards, as well as talking about future town centre hubs and future town centre plans.
Thanks, Dan. Craig, can you come back in and maybe
Yeah,
ask this question
there's-
first and then maybe address Dan's? Thanks.
Yeah, two separate issues there. I'll deal with Joe's first. All I can do, Chair, is I can't influence that directly. All I can do is take note of the need for lighting in Beltane Park and take that back to the operations manager for the Wishaw area to see whether or not it's something that can either be done in the short or long term. It's not really a part of the sort of transformative change that we're trying to promote through the vision and the town action plan, but it clearly is an issue that needs to be addressed. So what I'll do is I'll take an action from this discussion and put that to John Ashcroft, who's the about the engagement with schools. My role is to take on board all the corporate projects and synthesize them into this town action plan. I don't directly engage with any of the schools, etc., on the purpose of active travel. That's a day-to-day work task of colleagues in transportation. But I agree with your point, Dan, that there has to be a sort of wider, more holistic approach to the benefits of active travel and how that can bring in things like wheeled travel, etc. And once again, I'll take that as an action point back through my colleagues in transportation who lead on the active travel to ask them how they're engaging with education, not just at the primary level, but the secondary level as well. And I'll come back to the next board with a specific response to how the likes of St Aidan's can get involved and engaged with that. Is that acceptable, Chair?
Dan, do you want to come back in with a supplementary there? I see you.
Yeah, I just realised
on
that
that
Caroline
topic.
McGinty, who is one of the cluster leads for Clyde Valley cluster, is here. So yeah, I need to take a wee bit of a step back in my statement, because there is someone from education in this very meeting. Nice to see Caroline. Hello. And so yeah, Caroline will knows that Social Track's been involved with the schools, and we worked with her. I think you know, that partnership approach is what we've tried to work with. We have tried to maximise the funding that we've had. We've used it as match funding to get other funding from sources like Cycling Scotland. So I think that's what, you know, we also have conversations with the Scottish Government as well. So I mean, there are definitely we're trying to do as much as we can to make, you know, these changes last for us, you know, for a lifetime. When we're teaching young people and encouraging them to continue to, you know, wheel, you know, actively wheel.
Yeah.
And so, you
I
know,
mean,
it needs to be bigger on our part as well. But I mean, it's, yeah, we're working on it. So, yeah. Just
as I said, Chair, I agree with what Dan says. I think it would definitely add value to the project, and I'll speak to my colleagues who are on the day-to-day promotion of the active travel to see how they can sort of like review their engagement and try and make it as wide as possible. That's as much as I can offer tonight, because I'm not directly involved, but happy to do that.
thanks, Chair. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig, and Dan, for those questions. I can see a few hands up now, so I can see Vicky, and I don't think James had his hand up, so now they can come back in later and mop up what we can do moving forward within the board. We have Mark and then Councillor Burgess. So Mark first, Mark Johnson. Mark, I think you're still on mute.
Thanks, Chair. I guess 2 points. One in relation to what Dan's raised in terms of planning and feedback from the schools. It's, I echo, I guess, Dan's initial statements, but also his follow-up to see Caroline Ann on here tonight. I think it's fantastic to see representation from education at the community board level. It was something that we tried to speak to a couple of clusters about historically, whether it was for Coltness Community Council or I guess other panels that exist in the Wishaw area like this and previous to the board. I was going to ask, given that she's here, Caroline, you know, what is the sort of the the function or the thing that empowers, I guess, yourself to come along and attend tonight, and how could the board look to, I guess, broaden that engagement across other sort of schools in the area almost?
Well, hi Mark, and everyone else. Can you hear me? Am I unmuted? Thank you. Well, I'm here in my role as a SIL for Clyde Valley, but also there have been 4 SILs asked to represent various areas across North Lanarkshire. I'm here as a representative of the local partnership team for Wishaw and Shotts. It's the first meeting I've attended. As far as I'm aware, it's the first time, or certainly it's the first time I've ever been asked to be part of this. I'm very happy to be here, but I know that there will be representatives in the other local partnership teams across North Lanarkshire. So I suppose that's why I'm here.
So does that mean your responsibility is broader than just the cluster that you're directly involved with then, Caroline, in terms of how you'll feed back in?
I don't know yet. I haven't had the initial meeting with that information, I suppose. So this is just an initial meeting I'm at to get an idea of what's going on. Yeah. And then hopefully the next one I'll be able to feed back a wee bit more.
No, it's fabulous to see education involved, and I think whether it's directly through yourself or looking to use that engagement as a mechanism to broaden it, would be great to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other question I had, Chair, was more in relation to the town and community planning, so the town visions. I think there was a point sort of during sort of Craig's initial introduction where it was almost sort of described as like a sort of people's plan for Wishaw. You know, I think this to me feels much more like the local authority engaging with the major stakeholders, which tend to be landlords who have got ownership over property rights in the Wishaw area. And I think that in itself, I appreciate there's been public consultation done and it's been more successful digitally, which I'm also pleased to hear, because obviously we've got an interest in the digital space. But I think in a broader sense, I would love to see people of Wishaw having a much greater say over how Wishaw develops as a town. And it's our own feeling as part of one Wishaw campaign that we're trying to run, that the asset ownership has got a strong role to play in that, and potentially also there's strong routes into funding through adopting that model, using things like the Community Empowerment Act and the Scottish Land Fund to actually develop a full-blown, Wishaw, a sort of Wishaw person's idea of what does a future Wishaw look like, and actually use that also as a tool, I think, broadening engagement and how do we shape the future of our towns, whether that be making them more accessible or sustainable. So I guess my question to Craig, to anybody else within the local authority is what role do we feel that community asset ownership, whether that be directly from assets that the council owns or looking to take over, underloved town centre units, what role do we feel that community asset ownership has in developing the future of Wishaw?
I'm happy to come back in that, Chair, and perhaps use an exemplar of the main thing is the council doesn't own a lot of the assets in the town. There's private ownership, and unlike Cumbernauld and Motherwell, there's a complexity of ownerships. There's not as simple like one large town centre manager that we can deal with and stuff like that. There's lots of individual ownerships. There's lots of complexity in terms of you've got a 3-storey building with one owner owning the retail element on the ground floor, and then 2 separate residential owners above. So that community asset aspiration is definitely worthy, and there's mechanisms within the council to advance that once sites are identified. But I think it's very difficult, and it's not going to have a huge significance on Wishaw Town Centre itself. To me, it's more of a sort of model and a process that's about maybe taking on board sort of surplus community centres when they fall out of direct use by the council. They can be taken up by the community. But let's just use the former YMCA as an example. The council doesn't own the YMCA building, but we've been working with the organisation that represents the YMCA to try and facilitate external grant assistance for their ambitions to basically improve that building and to open that building up to a number of uses. So the council doesn't have a direct role, but it has a supporting role in terms of managing sort of RCGF grants, which are ongoing. So that's not giving too much away. That's a matter of public record. But that's where I would see these things coming. To my mind, Mark, and I'll stand corrected on this, but there isn't an obvious asset within the town centre that the community can take hold and make a going concern of it. Most of the cases, these assets, if they are in trouble, it's because they're no longer fit for purpose or have a physical issue in terms of the amount of money that it would cost to bring them back up to a level. So we're not closing the door on that route, but to me, it's not going to be a key player. But I will take you to task on one point, Mark, in that we have tried to carry the community with us throughout the whole vision process. And, you know, I think 6 weeks of public engagement where we'll listen to any points made to us, and more importantly, we'll then collect those views and comments and put them back to the decision makers in the form of the council. So we are much better now at listening and basically throwing our arms open and saying, come and talk to us, come and tell us. So we do basically go beyond to try and get that view, and ultimately that view will be communicated to the council, and then the council will make a decision on the content of the action plan. I definitely, as the lead officer, want to hear from as many different voices as possible. So I think that's the best way of answering that, Chair.
I'd agree. I guess I would agree, Craig, that in terms of your assessment, that there's not a number of major assets that are owned by the local authority, and particularly in the Wishaw town centre area, and it is a bit of a sort of more of a patchwork quilt approach, and it would be perhaps a slower burn. But I do think that with a slower burn, you know, if you were to look at somewhere like Dumfries and the Stoke project, there is I think existing models out there for saying, actually, how do we perhaps start with a unit or two and develop the model and move it in the right direction to the point whereby the engagement and the empowerment that's necessary to then look at taking on bigger tasks, whether that be, you know, there's a number of small gap sites and stuff like that in the Wishaw area that have perhaps even been identified as part of your plan to say, you know, how do we address these issues directly, or how do we take to task you know, a landlord with a vacant unit where he's let it slip into disrepair. Like a lot of these buildings in our town centres, you know, maybe don't hold significant, how would you put it, architectural value, but I think they do still make up you know, give the town a strong makeup and a strong feel that people recognise it as Wishaw. And it's like, if these are owned by absentee landlords that are letting the facades of the buildings crumble and it's all headed in the wrong direction, I think that's a challenge. So I'm more seeing, I guess, community asset ownership as a slow burning, long term method of saying, okay, how do we tackle these issues in the longer term, rather than something that would have an immediate impact. So I guess I'm curious to understand like what the correct channels and method of engagement would be, into whether that be yourself or through other council officers.
Yeah, well, I believe there's a representative of New Mains Community Trust at the meeting tonight. They're a good example of a community that basically, you know, drove and argued for and secured a community asset which they now run. But I'm sure they'll be the first to tell you that it's not an easy process. But we are open to it as a council, as witnessed by the New Mains Community Trust and what they've achieved. So yeah, it's definitely a door that remains open, but whether or not that door will take you to somewhere different, I don't know. I don't know, Mark, is the honest answer.
Sure, thanks, Chair.
Okay, so we've got quite a lot to get through, so we're going to move on, but thanks for your comments, and also welcome to Carol Ann. So it was nice to hear from you there.
Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Burgess.
Thanks, Fiona. Can I go back to Joe and agree with her totally on the Beltane situation? We have had women walking their dogs who have been approached in the sort of dusk time, around about 6 o'clock over the last winter. And basically, Beltane Park is a total disaster. I'm sorry that Leanne's not here tonight, because she's aware of plans that I had put to Lizanne McMurrough before she left the council over 2 years ago, for the Beltane Park to be totally transformed into a major area for disabled children's play area. The American rugby team to be facilitated with a proper field, a mugger, and bring the park up to modern standards, lighting, road, seating, and really make it a decent park for the people who wish to go to. I'm hoping that'll go forward. As I say, Leanne's got a hold of it now, and I was hoping it would come up tonight. But yeah, Joe is right. It's a terrible place to walk through now. The potholes are deep enough to swim across, and I mean big enough and deep enough. So basically, yeah, we need to get something done in that park. Thanks, Fiona.
Okay, and Vicky, do you want to come in?
It was just to briefly say that I'm aware, obviously, Councillor Burgess has mentioned that to me. I think it has been Leanne who's been dealing with regards to that. I don't know whether it's been a possible LDP project that's been something that is mentioned in the past, but it's certainly not something we've got currently on the list, so we can definitely look at that. But just to mention that the CCTV application there's been an application for that went forward due to the kind of research I've done, along with finding out, you know, the evidence for that with police reports and different things, people maybe feeling unsafe through the park. So that is progressing through the LDP. So that is a kind of positive along that way, and hopefully we can have a look at the other issues and see what we can do with them if there is a project that can be got from that. And if Leanne's got the details, then that will certainly come to myself and Gary. All right.
Thanks, Vicky. Thanks for that. So I see that Craig's put his hand back up, and Gary's also in the chat. Gary's also put some information and a link there to the community asset transfers. So obviously he's also put his email address there. So if MD and Mark do have any further questions, then if you want to get in touch with Gary, then that would be fantastic. So Craig, I'll let you back in just to wrap up, and we can then move on.
It's definitely just to wrap up. It's just to say that I'll be notifying all the members of the community board when the physical exhibition begins. And also there'll be a public notice in the local press. There'll also be digital adverts around that. But more importantly, as I say, I'll be there for one afternoon every week. So if you've got issues, concerns, etc., please come down, say hello, and we can talk through them. But thank you for the opportunity for talking to people tonight, Chair. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for your time tonight, Craig. That was informative. Thank you. You've just covered what I was going to say there. Oh, sorry, said Joe's got her hand back up there before we move on. No, she's not. She's waving at me. Oh. Okay, so yeah, I was just going to ask that we maybe make sure that everybody on the board all that information is shared, and I'm sure it will go out with any emails, and that'll all be shared. Also, the last time we spoke, I urged everybody to go onto the My Wishaw Facebook page. So I'm sure any links for consultations, the fabulous officers will put things up there as well to make sure that people are aware of it, and we can all get sharing and get as many people there and involved as we can. Okay. So no other people coming in, so we are going to quickly move on because I know that we have got a packed agenda and there's been people joining as we go on. So we'll introduce them as the night goes on. So we're going to move on to agenda item 5 now. So that is the local priorities. So every board has their own priorities. Obviously within the Wishaw area, we have got 5 of our own here. So tonight we're going to hear briefly from all of them if we can. So first ones we're looking at is the mental health and wellbeing. So it's just a wee update and a wee quick presentation from Our Health Together strategy. And that's from the health promotion team. Now I see that Grant and Donna are both on the call. So I've got Donna's name down, but I don't know who wants to now.
Hi there, guys.
Fabulous, thanks Donna, welcome.
Hi there, I'm Donna Wallace. I'm the Health Improvement Senior for the locality, so it's lovely to meet you all tonight. I've got a few wee bits and pieces, so really just to update you, we had our third subgroup for the mental health and wellbeing lot today. So that was the third meeting we had. It was a face-to-face meeting today, and it's well attended by local organisations, but we really want to encourage community board members and members of the public to come along so that we can move forward with some of the actions. We're just to make you all aware as well, we're going to be using the ALICE, so that's a local information system for Scotland. All of the local groups are going to be updating all of their own activities and supports for wellbeing, that will be on there. So it's just to make people aware that that will be there and on element. As I say, we are in our infancy, but we'd really like to encourage board members and members of the public to come and join our meeting, as I say, so as that we can move forward with the health and wellbeing part of that. Now, I'm just thinking, again, we'll be sharing on social media. So our social media, so we've got our health improvement, NHS Lanarkshire Health Improvement social media, and with the My Shots and the My Wishaw pages, we will share anything that's coming up there as well. However, we are aware that some of the barriers to accessing these supports are digital inequality, and that was discussed today, and also just caring responsibilities. So we're looking into that. Also, we've carried out some tackling poverty community champion training with the warm spaces of the community drop-ins. So we've done that, and we plan to roll that out further to cover our health and wellbeing tool as well, so as that the community has, if people are coming into the community drop-ins, that the staff there or the volunteers there have got the skills to refer anyone in crisis or anyone with any needs onto the correct places, which would be the tackle, in the first instance, would be the tackling poverty team. And just when you said about the Our Health Together strategy, so hopefully you've all received, there was an email had come round that you've all received an invitation to the briefing for the community boards. That's going to be on the 23rd of March, and that's via Teams, and that's from 6:30 till 8:30, and that's going to be on NHS Lanarkshire's new strategy, Our Health Together. And I'm sure you're all aware of the current pressure that the NHS is under. So this strategy is really going to be listening to individuals, the communities, and people with lived experience to inform that strategy moving forward as to how best we can provide services in the future. So I think that's really all. I don't know if anyone's got any questions.
Thanks for that, Donna. Any questions for Donna? No. If there's anybody interested, then certainly you can make yourself known if you want to be a part of any of the groups.
Yes,
Mark, I'll let you in if you want to keep it brief.
It's just a couple of questions, Chair. I think you'd mentioned, Donna, Alice there, did you say?
Yes, so that's a local information system for Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an online directory of all the services. So and community groups can register with Alice, so they can register their groups with Alice, and they can use it as a platform to get that information out there. So whatever activities that are on, so various activities for health and wellbeing can be on Alice, and mental health specific, the Element directory is what we're going to be using. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a way of them updating any sort of community-based activity they've got on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's fine. I'll do a wee bit of background digging on that. I guess the other question that I had for you is in terms of the groups that are uploading, using Alice and engaging with yourselves. So basically what we've been funded to do is to create a digital platform to support town centre shopping. And we've already identified, I think, one pilot, a key pilot partner in doing that, where people will be able to buy and consume online, and we'll take a small Just Eat style scheme, and that money's going to come back then into the community. So I guess I was wondering whether you feel as though, given that you guys have got, I guess, direct contact with groups and organisations who are attempting to tackle, I guess, positive wellbeing outcomes, whether if we were raising revenue through the platform for town centre consumption, whether we could tie in with yourselves to say, look, if we're going to redistribute these funds, it's a case of saying, right, okay, well, here's a group and they require maybe a certain amount of funding for a particular period, or something that maybe would allow them to break into a new activity, whether that be like, I don't know, cycling or vests or grabbers for
Absolutely.
day litter picking or whatever it is that they want to do, whether we could use you guys as a way of looking to redistribute that and manage that process.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if I'm trying to think, and Vicky will be able to maybe guide us a wee bit better, but I'm thinking possibly the local consortiums might be that, that platform, because the local consortiums have already got that system in place where they've got those funding bids. So I'm not sure if that's where that could maybe come into, but I'm not sure if Vicky or Gary might be able to, because that would still be health and wellbeing. So I'm not sure if Vicky and Gary would maybe be able to help me out in that one.
Well, I've
We
certainly
can catch up with that one maybe after the meeting, Mark.
Yeah, that's it. I've already
right,
got
find out.
contact with Vicky to arrange a meet, I guess, to discuss some of these things anyway, so that's fine.
That's great.
Thank you.
Ben. Okay, thank again, Donna. And we will move on if that is all right. So the second area of work for the local priorities is community engagement. So I think, Gary, it's over to yourself for the next few items. If you just want to roll them through and bless any hands go up or anything, then I'm happy with that.
Thank you, Chair. That's not a problem. So, as everyone will be aware, community engagement is one of our local priorities. We are obviously very determined to ensure that local people have access to and can be involved in effective community consultation and engagement processes. We are very keen to ensure that as a partnership, as a community board, that we increase and improve community participation, particularly around citizenship and involvement in decision making. So as you're aware, we having started to take and drive forward the work of the LOIPs now for this important LOIP priority. Like the rest of the LOIP priorities, we are now starting to create the working groups and the subgroups for delivering and taking this work going forward. So I'm pleased to report that following some recruitment work, we have managed to have our first initial meeting for the community engagement subgroup. Wanted just to raise awareness of this again and to invite any interested parties, if you are interested in being involved in that community engagement working group and subgroup, to lead the way on this. That would be really beneficial. For example, Mark, you're talking about your work in the digital platform. I see that being a particular interest and link back to that engagement activity in its own right as well. So I think there's opportunities here for people to consider that, and that would be of great importance for us to try and get the reach and the involvement of community organisations within that process. In terms of the next steps in the plans, we are have following the meeting, it was just yesterday in actual fact, we've agreed to have the next meeting just shortly, early May, after we've got the Easter break and things out the way. So we will be putting information out again about that through the community board network. If you are interested, just get in touch with Vicky and myself, and we'll certainly be very keen to bring you up to speed and to get your involvement. Still early days. We still have got some tasks to do in terms of working out what engagement needs to happen, what the gaps are, and what things we need to prioritise. And so there's a lot of opportunity to try and work together to get that part right moving forward. Also, in terms of the work of the community partnership team, I just wanted to just say a few things on that. So the community partnership team, as you can imagine for the name, has a lot of different and varying relationships, and the key to our success is the relationships that we develop and nurture over time. We are very keen to continue to grow our network and to develop new relationships going forward, and with that in mind, we are proposing to get in touch with any new organisations that might be in the area being developed, or old organisations that don't really know who we are. It's a call out to everyone really. If you don't know who we are, get in touch and we will come out and have a chat with you, fill you in about what we can help with and how we can aid your work going forward, and almost act like a liaison to other parts of the council services as well. Likewise, in terms of some of our early ideas for engagement activity, we just wanted to put you on alert that based on the high level of success of the Van El networking activity, and based on some early feedback from other organisations, we feel that there is potentially some room to add on some extra specific networking and information sessions, not as a regular thing, not as a replacement for the Van L network, but simply as a way to ensure that we're getting appropriate information out there and wider. So specifically, we are very keen to be holding community information sessions around our local outcome improvement plans. And now we are all very familiar of what those are and what we're trying to achieve, but how is that translated to the wider community? What can we do there to help the wider community understand our ambitions there? And likewise, the other thing that we were often asked time and time again is, can you tell me about the local development programme? What's that for? What can we bid in for? How can that be used? And that one for us is another one that we would like to get out there and start promoting going forward as well. So it was just a wee quick update to kind of give you that wee kind of sense check of where we're at, what we're doing, and some of the things that might be coming out in the future. I'm happy to take any questions or points that you want to make at that time. So feel free to ask any questions or to put anything in the chat bar.
Thanks for that, Gary. That was a good summary and brief. Thank you. There's also a wee comment in there, don't know if you've seen, from Jane Woods, who she's already volunteering her development manager, potentially, Mary Ann, to join the subgroup. So you maybe got a volunteer there, so you can link up with Jane maybe afterwards. So we thank you again. So Vicky, do you want to come in and speak now about the participatory budgeting?
Yeah, sure. It was just to give a wee brief update on the status of that at the present. So the participatory budgeting project relating to health and wellbeing that I mentioned at the last board is now complete. It was held for Coltness and Cleland groups and allowed 3 project proposals to go out to public vote. The voting received a really good response from the local communities, with the results from the public vote awarding £1,000 to the Cleland Gala Day Committee, which will go a good way towards them purchasing their Gala Day coat outfits and shoes for all the children participating, so that they can do that for free, and the Gala coat free of charge. The Gala Day has proved a great success in Cleland's community previously, giving the local people a sense of belonging and inclusion. And also the Branchelwood Estate Community Group and the Cleland Community Council were each awarded £500 for their community projects for new benches or memorial benches in their local communities, which will benefit people who are outdoors already, walking, socialising, reflecting older people who sit in these areas. So these were needing upgraded in Cleland. So I think that's something they're going to take forward. And in Branchelwood Community Estate, they're going to purchase a new seat for the wooded area. So just to say that's completed now, and we will be looking at possibility of proposing any other opportunities for participatory budgeting moving forward as well in other areas of Wishaw, potentially central Wishaw, other areas we're trying to offer that out to. Thanks.
Thanks again, Vicky. So it's useful to hear that, thank you, because it obviously gives everybody on the call food for thought as well. So if there's anything in your own area that you are interested or you think would be a benefit to the community, you now know the guys that are head there. Gary's already got his email in the taskbar, or speak to any of the councillors, and we can certainly move anything forward. If you've got any ideas for any projects, they are also always welcome. Can't promise, but they're always welcome to at least to hear. Okay. So last wee bit on community engagement, we have Douglas Millen on the call. He's from Van L. Douglas.
Thank you, Chair. Just an update on the community agreement, folks. This, of course, was previously known as the Community Concordat, and the purpose of this community agreement is to strengthen trust and joint working across North Lanarkshire between residents, the community voluntary sector, the public sector and local businesses, with the aim of improving the well-being of our communities and people. Full update of the progress of the development of the agreement so far has been circulated with tonight's board papers. But I'd just like to bring to your attention, we'll be organising an event at the end of March and a series of in-person conversations around the agreement. And this will focus on what people want to see included in the agreement itself. We're just finalising the details of these events, and we'll look to circulate these as soon as possible. But I'll put my details in the chat. If anyone requires any more information, just please get in touch. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks for that then, Douglas. Okay, no questions then. We will move on to the next area on local priorities we have is the community safety, which obviously we discuss at all the meetings. I don't think we've got Alan Mulholland in the call tonight. I don't know if there's anybody on from police, any representatives there to give a wee update. I don't think that there is that I've noted, or any fire representative. No. Fabulous. All right, so we'll just move on then, because I know Andrew's definitely on the call. So Andrew Gillies is going to give the education, and he's from Education and Families, and he's going to do the contextual safeguarding, if that's okay.
Thank you, Chair. And hello, everybody. I'm Andrew Gillis. I'm a Senior Education and Families Manager in Social Work. So thanks for letting me come along tonight. What we're doing is we're going around all the boards because we wanted to talk about, very briefly, a kind of new initiative that we've been implementing called contextual safeguarding. I've got a very brief presentation, so I'll just put it on, but it is brief. I won't. Can you? I don't know if you can see that, Chair.
Yeah, we can see that.
Great, thanks. So that's the definition of what contextual safeguarding is, and in the second sentence there it says that it seeks to identify and respond to harm and abuse posed by young people outside their home, either from adults or other young people. So what we've found is that traditionally within the child protection world, police, social work, education have tended to focus on the individual, and that the individual adolescent or young person who may be at harm, but maybe not addressed as well the actual the context, the place where harm has occurred, or the people who are causing that young person harm. So this approach seeks to deal with that, and it kind of brings together community safety and child protection together. And so the sort of harms we're talking about, young people who are at risk of sexual exploitation in the community, criminal exploitation, where there may be serious violence between youths, bullying, radicalisation, and also outside the family homes, abusive relationships potentially between teenagers. And essentially, what we want to do is where these abuses or concerns are occurring, we want to address those harms, and not stigmatise or criminalize the individual young person. So what that might mean is the interventions that we want to do are within the context that might be if the serious youth violence is taking place in a local park or in a particular stair or in a school. That's where the intervention would take in the place rather than just with the individual. And it's not about necessarily moving young people on. It's actually about making those places safer, and that's really where the community boards come in, because obviously social work, education, we're not always the people that have the kind of the knowledge, the oversight, the stewardship of these places. It's actually the local community, local businesses, and we really want to extend our approach to child protection beyond the traditional agencies and involve the community much more in that, both in terms of the concerns you have, but also in how we can involve you in supporting and protecting our young people in our communities. So that's really the main aim, and that's really why I wanted to share it with yourselves tonight. So a lot of work has gone on just recently with our young people about some of the way they've been described in the past, and you can just see those on the line. We might in social work have traditionally said young people are putting themselves at risk, for example, or actually it's other adults or other young people in the community have put them at risk. So we want to change the way we frame and think about young people, so that we recognise the trauma that they've experienced. We're building relationships with them and between them, and obviously really engaging with communities to ensure they can they're safe and they've got the right to be able to be in their community and be safe. So within it, hopefully you'll get the presentation, because there's a couple of links here we've put in just for more information. And what I'll do is I'll just stop sharing that now. Hopefully that'll come out. Although I don't see the exit. Is that stop sharing now, Chair?
Not yet, no.
the share button's disappeared. So what I might have to do is take any questions and then come right out so that I'll stop blocking the screen. Apologies. So just to conclude, that's the presentator, but that's quite a quick whistle-stop tour. So what we're going to offer all the boards is a more in-depth session for a board representative to come along, and we'll give you the date, and then we can talk a bit more detail about how you can be involved and support us in this work. But this is just a brief overview for the board as a whole. Thank you, Chair.
Fabulous. Thanks very much, Andrew. Thanks for coming along to share that with us. Is there any questions there for Andrew? I don't see any hands up, so again, thanks very much for that, then, Andrew.
Thanks for your time. Right, I will need to go out then so that I stop sharing this. Right, okay, thanks a lot.
Fab. So the next one we are moving on to then is the fourth local priority we have is tackling poverty and inequalities. And I think if we got Amanda on the call, I can't see names at the moment. Or do we have another representative from the social inclusion team? If anybody's waving at me just now, I apologise because I can't see everybody's face on the one screen.
Chair, I don't see Amanda on.
No, I can't see her on, yeah. I don't know if there was anybody in her place, but no volunteers at the moment. We can always come back to it if she appears. Is that all right?
Yeah, it was meant to be Amanda, so apologies.
Yeah.
It's not.
No worries. We can catch up with her the next time. Otherwise,
yeah, I could give you a wee very briefly. It wouldn't be what Amanda was, but we did have a subgroup meeting again for the tackling poverty.
Okay.
Like just the other day there, so I attended that, and again, really interested if we can have community members coming along, and just a wee bit of what I spoke about earlier. The community, I don't know if I said we carried out the community champion training for the warm spaces, so we're hoping that that'll be rolled out wider within the community and incorporate some health and wellbeing training as well. So that was kind of where we were with the subgroup from yesterday. Very, very briefly, as I say, I'm sure Amanda would have been able to add a lot more to that.
No worries, I appreciate that, Donna. Thanks for that. Yeah, and if again there's any volunteers or anybody wishes to join any of these groups, you know, in any of these subgroups, then please get in touch. And I see that Donna's put her details into that the kind of text box there, the chat bar, so that you can get in touch with Donna if you're interested in any of the mental health and the wellbeing subgroup. And similarly, if you're interested in joining the tackling poverty and inequalities, then please get in touch and we'll try and get that sorted out and get you the details of the next meeting, if that's all right. Last one we have is handing over to Douglas Millen, who's the digital inclusion. So we're trying to obviously drive in digital locally. Douglas, I did see your name earlier.
An update outlining the progress to date with the digital driving digital locally was circulated with the meeting papers for tonight. The group is working to make progress on a number of issues, particularly the community benefit from North Lanarkshire Council's contract with their digital infrastructure partner CommsWorld. I actually attended an event today to find out more about a new digital fund that might be becoming available, but it was more discussing about how the fund might actually look and looking to see organisations' priorities rather than actually the details applying to the fund itself. I will circulate more information on that to everyone who's interested. And the next meeting of Driving Digital Locally will take place on Thursday, March the 23rd. So again, I'll put my details in the chat. If anyone's got any issues or questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Fabulous, Douglas. Any questions for Douglas? Oh, you're getting off lightly too then. That's good. Oh, I spoke too soon. Mark's got his hand up. I shouldn't have said that.
Just a quick one, Douglas. You mentioned is I'm unmuted? Yeah. It was just to clarify the fund that you were referring to there, Douglas.
Yep.
Is that something that's from a third party? Is it something Vanel's leading on?
It's something that the Scottish Government are actually leading on, Mark. What I'll do is I'll pop some details in the chat and you can have a look there. It's still very early days for it at the moment, but it is taking shape and organisations in North Lanarkshire will be able to bid in around the themes of mental health and housing, and how they tie in with digital inclusion.
Excellent, Douglas, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. So that really is us then covered the 5 local priorities, and again they'll be revisited every meeting we get to. So we've done all the kind of administrative stuff. Now we're moving on to the community matters, which is one of my, obviously everything that I hear tonight is my favourite, but this is my favourite part of the meeting, is really to hear from the local community groups, because this is why we're here and this is what brings us all together, and that's how we make our communities tick. So we have got a couple of people put notes of interest in to speak tonight. I note that Roberta has put in her apologies, hasn't she? So we can maybe add her to the agenda the next time for Wish a Fair Trade, unless there's somebody in Roberta's place. No. So what I'll do in the meantime is I'm going to welcome, I can see 2 ladies there on my screen. We've got Laura Laird from the Gary and Tower renovation. Now these 2 women, it's International Women's Week, so if you've been down and heard anything about this tower, wow, these ladies are amazing, and the projects that they take on is fantastic. So I'm going to introduce you to them just now, and they can tell you about their project. Is that okay?
Hi everybody, I'm Nicole. I've actually met you already, Fiona. It was myself that gave you the guided tour, so
I remember Nicole.
I think maybe we knew Jim as well, was he? Yes, it was. I thought that. I recognised the names when I came on there. So I'm Nicole. Hi Jim. So I'm Nicole, I'm the owner of the Gary and Tower. I'm the crazy one. And this is Laura, she's the project manager. So we really I've obviously purchased the Gary and Tower. One, because we just absolutely love the building. We love the history of the building. I just felt like it needed to be saved. I know, for being so old and being so structurally sound and just still looking as beautiful as it did the day it was built, probably, it's just amazing. So we just felt like it was really, really good for a building like that to be saved. Obviously at the minute, the building, well, since we've been on the project, the building is now cleared out and now safe, wind and watertight. But also when we first got the building was in a state of complete disrepair. So the idea of the start of the plan for us is to get the building removed from the buildings at risk register, and then hopefully carry on with plans to be renovating the building into what we hope and would like to happen into a wedding venue and hotel, restaurant and bar. We have already had architects, structural engineers, quantity surveyors and everything all involved, and we're at the kind of planning place now where we literally do have concept drawings and things like that, which is all completely published online. I don't know if anyone on the group already has maybe seen anything about it. We have been very vocal about everything we're doing, and as has the community been, because we've had loads of feedback, which has been absolutely amazing. All positive, may I add, a couple of negatives here and there, but nothing too strenuous. Everything's been really, really positive, which again means so much, considering the reason why we wanted to get this building and originally convert it is because it's just so amazing and we're so invested in it as well. So really what we wanted to join the meeting for was because as much as we're doing it, and it is a commercial investment, but at the same time it's also an investment into Wishaw alone. That it's an asset to Wishaw, and we're going to be bringing loads of employment. We're literally going to be bringing tourism, if you like, people travelling probably from Edinburgh and Glasgow, where normally they probably wouldn't head to Wishaw for a wedding venue, but they're going to be coming here because it's going to be gorgeous. So we just really wanted to join the group, introduce ourselves, and in the meantime, there is going to be start-stop positions for us with this, whilst we're waiting and planning and things like that. We really want to be part of the community. We want this building and this project to be part of the community. We would like to help you as much as you can help us. Everybody just supporting the project alone is a massive help for us. The more awareness we have of the project, the more eyes we have on it, the more help we can get. So that's really what we're hoping to do. There was something that someone in particular had mentioned just further up in the group there, it was regarding community engagement. You were looking for maybe some help with that. My main source of business is a company called G4 Claims, and we're based on Netherton Road. We actually have 2 podcast studios in here, and we have a marketing team that does loads and loads of social media. If anybody wants to look into that, you know, go onto our website and things like that as well, and you can see that. We would be more than happy to help with any things like that. Social media, we find, is just massive now. If your presence on social media is there and it's valid, you know, people are looking for you every day, and the more you post and the more you have, you know, the people are really engaging with that. And I think it is really a really good way to get people's interaction, get their feedback, get people involved in any projects and whatever that you're trying to get the engagement for. So if we can help in any way with things like that, you know, we're happy to be involved. So really it was just to say hi, and if anybody's got any questions on the project, then we're happy to answer them.
Fabulous, thanks for that, Nicole. Have we got any? I don't see any hands up. It's been an amazing that we have been doing down there, and it was fabulous to get down and see that development. I see some hands here. James, do you want to come in first?
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and what you were kind of presenting to us there. I was actually doing quite a bit of Googling, so getting a good visual impact. And I noticed that there's going to be a TV show. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
When's that likely to be getting aired?
So at the moment we're still in filming, so believe it or not, you know, there's a lot of work goes into that. The TV show at the moment, we've already filmed quite a bit, which has been the lead up to the drawings, the planning, and you know, things like that. At that point, we've had a break since about December time up until now. We're starting to film again mid-March. Just because in between the breaks, obviously when there's not much going on, as well as doing the Gary Tower, like I've just said, I run a couple of other businesses, so I really can't have cameras like following me about 24/7. It's really inconvenient. So at the moment we're just trying to structure it so that they're only spending, you know, 3 to 4 days per month with us, so that we can get enough filming to provide the episodes. It's hoping to be aired probably about end of 2024. Because that's obviously when the renovations are going to be almost up and running / hopefully somewhere productive. Let's say that. Hopefully nearly finished. But you know, the TV show, the deal that we're on just now, it's going to be like a full season of 1-hour episodes. So you know, there's a lot of filming to be done for that, but there's just going to be a build up in the lead up to it. The reason why we've done it like that is because I didn't want to sign into a deal with a TV show where they were revealing everything before I had done what I wanted to do. The reason why I bought the Gary Tower was so that I could buy this amazing house and literally turn it into something where people can still come and visit it and see the history and enjoy it still. You know, that was the full benefit of it. I don't want a TV show taking that away from the community. The full idea is to carry on this full project with the community involved, but also bringing exposure from a TV show, which will then in turn generate revenue from my hotel, which is going to be on the TV, but also potentially put Wishaw on the map, mostly for a lot of people who maybe don't know we're here.
Thanks for that, Nicole. So it's good to have you here because we're soon be so famous that you'll not time.
No, I hope not.
No, not at all. And she also, I can vouch for her YouTube channel, because you can go in there and keep up to date with everything she's doing. Am I getting feedback again? That's my cue to shut up there. Councillor Burgess.
Thanks, Fiona. Nicole, I've got to thank you very much, you and is it Laura, for saving the Gary Tower. It's absolutely fantastic. As one who saw the rise and fall of Camden and Priory as a venue, I'm just hoping that everything goes well for you and you produce something that will last for your whole lifetime. I'm just so pleased you're there doing it. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks very much.
Thanks so
That means a
much.
lot, so thank you.
And we're not
Okay.
quitters, so woohoo, positivity.
Yeah, if anybody's got their mics open, can you just put them on mute? Because I don't know if we're getting a wee bit of feedback, because I get feedback through Bob there as well. Okay, so Mark, do you want to come in?
So I guess, again, guys, commend you for the work that you are doing. Previously involved with Friends of Campus Net and Private Group, but also co-chaired the Lancaster Heritage Society last year. And I think what you are doing in terms of contribution to local heritage in North Lanarkshire as a whole is a fantastic step forward. So I like to see what's happening with our. I've I guess borne witness to the engagement that you've had on existing social media, and we've just been given a little bit of seed funding to explore creation of a social media platform specifically for the community. And I think there's potentially significant opportunities for tie-ins with some of the other businesses that we've got in terms of the podcasting studio and stuff like that. So I'd definitely be interested in having a chat with you about what value you see in that, whether there's an opportunity, I think, to use the sort of storytelling capabilities that you guys have got to help drive the community platform and take things in the right direction, and really tell the story of what you guys are doing with the hotel directly to people who will, hopefully benefit from, I think, that uplift of being able to take pride in a tremendous asset in the town, or just outside the town as it may well be. So yeah, it'd be good to catch up with you and let you know a bit more about what we're doing, but find out whether you think there's an opportunity to tie a couple of things in together.
Definitely. I mean, we're always up for any opportunities like that. We currently, I mean, podcasts are just, they are the future. That's really why we're so invested in that at the moment. It's a massive way to get your business, or just in general your engagement up. No matter what you're looking to promote, you're going to get it there with a podcast. We're currently working with a few schools, Braidhurst being one of them, a few of the other local schools, where they bring in their pupils, and rather than doing a history class, they're having a history podcast. The teacher brings them down here, they sit in there with their friends, there's a topic, whatever it may be, at that day that the teacher has selected as their assignment, and they're sitting and they're all discussing it on the podcast. We're editing it and sending it back to them, and they're getting to play it back. They're all having a right good time about it, and their teachers are actually grading on them, to the point where the teachers are now asking us if this can be put in as part of their curriculum, because they find it a lot more engaging. Kids sitting in a class, TikTok and social media unfortunately has ruined our patience, if you like, because you're scrolling. If you're changing the way you teach things, it's getting the kids more engaged, and that's something that we done last year, and we just find that it is a massive part of the community. So we're happy to help with anything, including anyone on here tonight who is interested in any of the facilities of podcasts or whatever. We're happy to speak with you and discuss that. The more we can get interested, the better, because like I said, we're here to be part of the community, and we want to help as much as we can, because we know that when the time comes, we all want you to help us by supporting the project as well.
Definitely. I think it's amazing to hear that you are already, I guess, working with the schools in that way. And I guess what we're looking to do is to provide like an additional outlet for the content that's been created there, basically. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Anybody that wants any help, just email us on the Garrion Tower, and we can put you to whatever part of the business that you think will be helpful.
We're on all platforms, just for anyone that is listening and is interested. Garrion Tower's got its own social media, so YouTube channel, website, and if you search G4 Claims, we're on there as well, and all the podcast studio, all the contacts, everything is all on there. So literally type it into Google and you'll be able to contact us and find us. It's really easy to get in touch with us. So anybody at all, just please feel free to get in touch and ask for myself or Laura, and we'll definitely help you as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, no, it'd be wicked to get a chat about it, because we're excited what we're doing, but we're also really excited about what we've witnessed you guys doing. And I knew about the podcast studio, but I didn't know the level of tie-in with education, which I think adds a whole other layer to it. So I'd love to have a chat with you about on all those fronts.
Brilliant.
Thanks for that, Mark. Sorry, I'm still getting feedback. It's definitely my indication to be quiet now. I'm going to bring back in Vicky, who is going to look at, she's going to talk a wee bit about the fair trade.
Yeah, just to say I'm getting a lot of feedback as well. If anybody else has got their mic off, could they mute it? Because it's there's a lot of feedback tonight. So it was just to go back on the point where Community Matters, Roberta Hutton obviously had wanted to just raise and highlight the fact that Wishaw was a fair trade town, and just because it was Fair Trade Fortnight just now, she's part of the Fair Trade Forum for Wishaw, just wanting to kind of fly the flag for Wishaw and remind people of the kind of hard work that went into get in Wishaw to be attained as a fair trade town, and basically to kind of say to people, I think a message tonight was just to say to people that, you know, we can still continue with support of the members of the community board to ensure that Wishaw remains a fair trade town, just with making some small differences in cafes and at work and different things like that. So unfortunately, Roberta had to put in her apologies quite last minute, but that I think is basically the gist of what she was wanting to raise there. Also, the next point was Mark King, who I believe is not here either. And Mark King had basically wanted to speak tonight about, I think it was the parks in Wishaw, like what we've already discussed a wee bit about Beltane Park, and I think he was just talking about maybe some improvements or, you know, litter picking and different things surrounding Beltane Park, Belhaven Park, Pather Park. So he's not here tonight, I don't think. So it was just to say that that I think is what he was going to raise, and we all already have some discussion going round about that. So certainly if Mark from the community wants to come back and contact us, then we can take forward some whatever it was he was wanting to raise.
Thanks for that, Vicky. I'm waiting for me to hear my voice there again, but I didn't this time, so that's good news. Thanks for that update. So yeah, I'm sure anything that Mark had to raise, if he's raised it with the officers, then we can look at that and we can take that forward in his absence. The next person that I'd like to bring in, if we can, is Lauren Arthur from the Heritage Fund. Now I saw her join the call, so if you, Lauren, do you want to come in and tell us a wee bit more and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me here tonight. My name's Lauren Arthur. I'm one of the engagement managers at the National Lottery Heritage Fund, and if you don't know me already, I cover the area of North Lanarkshire, which is a huge area, but I try my best to sort of tie in with the communities as well. So my job role is to sort of have those initial conversations, build those relationships and contacts, and provide sort of pre-application support. So North Lanarkshire is an area of focus until the beginning of 2024. So I'm in this position to be able to support groups in accessing our funding. We are in a bit of a position at the minute that we've just launched our new strategy today. So if you haven't seen it, it's all over our website and our social media. It is going to be a transitional year though. So we're still going to be sort of doing around our normal funding programmes at the minute. Nothing's going to be changing this year. So it's all going to be about our mandatory outcome, which is all around inclusion and engaging people with heritage. So we also have priority audiences that we aim to support, which is young people, LGBTQ+, ethnic and cultural communities, elderly, you know, areas of deprivation and things like that as well. So if anybody has any project ideas or, you know, any initial contacts that you think may be interested, I'll pop my email in the chat and I'm more than happy to come out and visit, have a coffee or virtual, whatever works best for you.
Thank you, Lauren, and lovely to have you here. And I'm sure if you put your details in the chat, then we'll maybe get some people contacting you. So thanks for joining us. We've got nobody else listed to speak tonight, but I also do note that there is a few community groups who are very unusually quiet tonight that's on the call. So now is your chance if anybody wishes to come in and do a wee update on what you're up to. I've got no volunteers, no hands are going up at the moment. So welcome on the call. I know that we've got the NCT, and just at that, Jane puts her hand up. Fabulous. And you come, Jane.
Hi everybody. Any feedback? No, we're all right.
No, you're fine. You're good.
Perfect. I'll just wait for the dog to start barking, and then we'll have some additional feedback. So just a very, very quick update for the NCT Centre. So yesterday, myself, Marianne and Martin participated in the NHS Lanarkshire Near Me training. So our centre going forward will be a venue for any digitally included individual to access, to kind of, I suppose, speak to a doctor, speak to a physiotherapist, or any other sort of NHS service virtually. We've had our training, so it means that if anybody comes in, either if they're digitally excluded or they kind of need a wee bit of digital support, or they just don't have access to any sort of digital service at the house, they can come to our venue. We can give them a private space and we can help them access the service so that they can speak to their doctor or whoever it is. So we're really excited to kind of get off the ground with that one. The only other thing I want to bring up, we were successful in our Recovery NL grant, thanks to Gary and Vicky for the kind of a support that they gave us with that. So because of that, we're now going to start up a gardening club. So we've just kind of launched that over the last couple of days. So if anybody knows of anybody that's interested in gardening or any support that they think they can offer us, feel free to get in touch with us, and we'll give you all the information for that. But that's it. Everything else that we're kind of doing is things that we're already doing. So it was just those two new things I wanted to mention. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Jane. And again, if there's anything that you can, network with Jane to help out, or I can see some sort of community drop-in day happening down at the Garrion Towers, selling the flowers, and I'm sure we can have a nice open event and you can showcase Garrion Tower and everybody can come down and sell their wares when they're down there. Sorry, I'm marketing for you, Nicole. Dan, do you want to come in from Social Track?
Hi there. Just wanted to just let people know that we're successful in gaining lottery funding so that we could run our 360-degree club at the Wishaw Loop track, and we'll be running that on Mondays and Fridays during the school holidays, starting with the Easter holidays coming up. Like I said earlier, we've been working with the Clyde Valley cluster, and that's a horrible word, but basically that means the bunch of schools that are related to Clyde Valley High School, and so that is your Thornleys, your Berry Hills, Orchard, Morningside, and there's Humans and probably another one that I forgot, but there's quite a few. Muirhouse, that's the one I forgot, wasn't it? And so there's been quite a few. It's probably about 100 pupils a week. We're also incorporating a Cycling Scotland fund with that, which sees 5 young people go through some bike training and some skills, and at the end of it they get a bike. So we're talking to the Scottish Government about making that a bigger project, seeing as there's Wishaw has unfortunately has large areas of social deprivation. We'd like to see our young people able to get about and learn a life skill and potentially a job skill. The other thing I'd like to say as well is that we're going to have a cleanup day that coincides with World Earth Day on April 22nd. We'll be taking part with Velo Solutions, who built the trail, who are a worldwide organisation. We will be taking part with another 10 pump tracks around the world, and we'll be part of that celebration of World Earth Day, and litter picking and tidying up and all that stuff at the pump track. Our plan is to use these contacts that we've gained at the schools to get some flyers out, and there's a certain councillor that constantly said, "You guys need more flyers." So so we'll be making flyers for all that, and letting them know that that's what we're doing. And I'm sure Caroline would like us to get some flyers out to the kids we're working with as well. So and get them engaged. So yeah, there's quite a lot going on. And there's lots of stuff going on in the background that I don't know if I can talk about yet, but it's pretty exciting. We're looking to see some development happening. We need a chat with the Heritage. Lauren, was that your name? And Laura? I can't remember. Yes,
Lauren,
thank you.
you're right.
Lauren, thank you. and get a chat about some of the things that we're hoping to be involved with. I think the only thing we'd really like to see is we'd like to see all those conversations that were happening 4 years ago, pre-pandemic, about getting some of the roads from Pather and Dimsdale sorted out and fixed. And now that I'm working in Gowthrapple and living in Pather, I now know how bad those paths are that go up to Clyde Valley. So we'd love to see them fixed. And all those young people that are going to Clyde Valley from those areas of Dimsdale, Tinto and Pather, it'd be a much better walk if that road wasn't a death trap. It's pretty akin to how Councillor Burgess described that path at Belhaven, the Beltane. But yeah, it's there's lots going on, and if there's anybody that is interested in anything that we're doing, just drop us an email and we can have a chat. And if there's any potential partnership work, just let us know.
Thanks for that, Dan. Sorry, and I've got my calendar out, so I'm writing dates in my diary because I think I now know where I'm going to be Mondays and Fridays over the Easter holidays. Try to keep kids entertained. So yeah, and yeah, flyers. Let's not litter the flyers either. So we've got Francis McKendrick's on from New Mains. But his mic's not working, so he has put some information in the kind of chat bar about New Mains Community Council, and he's been working already with Gary and Vicky, so you can read that yourself. So there's a lot of projects going on up in the New Mains area. Early stages, they are looking at a skate park or a pump track, so I know that Dan's ears will pick up at that. Obviously, and that they're looking to develop the New Mains area, so that's fab. And I know that I know firsthand. I've seen it down at sorry, Francis. Did I say he? Sorry. And I know all the work that's happened down at Wishaw Woods and the pump track down there, and it's been amazing for the local area. So hopefully, if you can get that up and running up in New Mains, then that'll be fabulous. Okay. I'm just looking through. I know we've got Mary on for Partners in Play as well. And the other person I will introduce you to, but I don't expect to speak tonight. I'll say hello to Lindsay Evans, who is also here from Wishaw YMCA, representing the Wishaw YMCA. So hello, Lindsay. So I'm sure if I get him started, then we'll never get finished tonight. So we'll keep him for the agenda for the next time, and we'll get a wee update from Lindsay the next time if that is okay. Unless there's anything you want to say briefly tonight. Nah, he's away, that's fine. So didn't mean that rudely, I do know Lindsay. So if there's nothing else at the community section, anything else from Overton Community Council, I know that you're on, if there's anything Overton and Waterloo you want to say, or we'll move on then. So next on the agenda, we are on item 7, and I'll bring James McKinstry back in just to give us a wee coordinator update if possible.
Thanks very much. I just want to update some of the things that's going on across the Wishaw area, particularly kind of from a council perspective. So the work on the 97 new affordable homes down in Castlehill Road and Gowthrapple, so that's progressing. Quite possibly the most significant development since the last meeting of the board is the community hub down in New Mains is now open. So that's included a replacement for New Mains Primary School and St Bridget's Primary Schools, which were very much in need of replacement. It opened up, I think, to people last week or the week before. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to go down and see it or seen any of the kind of social network postings on it, but it's really impressive. And there's actually an open evening in the campus on the 30th of March. So if there's anyone in the community board or any other community groups that would like to be involved in that open evening, there's in particular, I know there's a couple of groups on the call from New Mains. You're more than welcome to attend that open evening, and as are others as well. So if you could just pass your details on to Gary, and we'll make sure an invite is sent out to you. And I think it'll be a great benefit to all of Wishaw as well. And I know earlier on we're talking about a town hub. It would give you a chance to see what's involved in a community hub and the kind of investment that we've been putting in. just going back to Gout Crapple as well, so that the demolition of the low-rise flats is progressing. The Ukrainian resettlement, that's worked very well, and everyone is settled in the Birkinshaw Towers. I'm not going to mention Alexander Street because that's been mentioned this evening. Earlier this evening. So just a few things as well, just kind of pan Lanarkshire, North Lanarkshire, things that have been going on that obviously have an impact in the Wishaw as well. So kind of earlier on, there was some reference to poverty. So since November of last year, the council has processed 4,000 over 4,000 fuel hardship payments. So that's £150, and also over 8,000 pension fund grants, and that's £100 as well. So I think that's kind of illustrative of what we all know is happening, what we're all experiencing out out across all our areas. And the last thing I want to kind of update, quite an important thing that you'll be aware of, is the council set its revenue budget for next financial year. I touched on the capital budget, where we were the capital budget earlier on, but setting a revenue budget at this time is an extremely difficult challenge for the council. Some difficult decisions need to be made, and I think it's also the case as we move forward into future financial years as well. We're not expecting the situation to really get any better. Inflation is just like it's doing in our own personal lives, is crippling the kind of value of the budgets that we've got. And I have to say that all political parties in the council are fully aware of what's going on and have approached that challenge in a very, very kind of professional way. I don't think any councillor or any person who gets involved in politics wants to go in to politics and see reduced budgets, etc. But that is the reality of what's kind of happening. And I think across all the political groups, I think it's probably testament to the kind of leadership that's coming from the councillors that we are looking to face up to these challenges going forward. And I think there will be engagement sessions again when we go forward. There'll be some statutory consultation work will go on as well. And I just encourage through your groups, if you could just try to promote that as you see things starting to come out.
Okay, is there any other questions we have for James? Nope. Thanks for that, James, that update. Gary, do you want to come in again and speak just about the local development programme?
Thanks, Chair, no problem.
Fabulous, thank you.
So, as you'll be aware, in the meeting papers that we've already distributed, we included the latest update in regard to the local development programme funding. We don't typically go through this item for item. It was just to draw your attention to the updated Appendix 1, which provides you with some latest information in regard to new projects that are currently under development for this year onwards. Now, these projects are ones that are at a very early stage that we are working with the organisations to develop their idea to submit a proposal in due course, but not quite there yet. So there's currently some projects in there, and you'll be glad to see, Francis, that we've got some more mention in there of the ones that you spoke about in the chat bar for new mains. So the next point is to highlight in the same appendix, the project seeking approval. Again, in a similar vein, this one actually came to the community board in May time last year. And this one was a part of a bundle of proposals and ideas from New Mains Community Council, and it's in reference to the New Mains welcome sign. So we are at the point now that we have made some site visits, that we're in conversation with our projects team, and are in a position to start to take that project forward. So we're just seeking tonight early views from the board members about that. I'm assuming that based on our previous dialogue about it, that everyone will be comfortable about taking that one forward, but happy to hear any further comments on that. Just to give you a wee bit of information about the New Mains sign, at the site visit, we have received an idea to actually try to develop a sign that integrates some of the stone, the bricks, the materials from the previous schools, so the old St Bridget's and the old New Mains Primary School. So we've been in touch with our properties team, and at the relevant stage when demolition work is underway, they will absolutely be able to retain some of the materials that will be able to be recycled and reused within that sign going forward. So that's the ones that we want to highlight to your attention tonight. I'm happy to take any questions, but before I do that, just want to remind everyone that there is absolutely always the opportunity to get in touch with Vicky and myself to put forward any ideas. Even if you're not sure where to start, get in touch and we will help you along the process. We'll come and meet with you. We'll find out what your ambition and aspirations are, and we'll help you as best we can to take you through the process. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thanks for that, Gary. Any questions on that at the moment? Because Gary's up next again as well, so he's going to finish off tonight's meeting. So we are just moving on to agenda item 8 then, and we've got the open space strategy engagement, and moving on from that, the partner delivery. I'll let him get his notes organised, sorry.
Thanks very much for that.
There, Gary.
I'm now organised. So
fabulous.
The first one up under any other business is the open space strategy. So I'll just start there if that's okay. So this is just a very short update on behalf of Moira Dell from North Lanarkshire Council's open space team. So North Lanarkshire Council is starting to develop our ambitious plan for open space strategy. This will set out the strategic framework for North Lanarkshire's policies and proposals for the development, maintenance and use of open spaces and green networks. I think this is very relevant to some of the conversations that we've been having tonight. So a central feature of successful places is having good local access to space that people want to use. This means that it is important that we hear the views of people who use North Lanarkshire's open spaces and play opportunities. So we want to draw to your attention that beginning in April, we will be inviting people and groups to respond to a survey asking for views on the quantity, quality and accessibility of open spaces and play opportunities within North Lanarkshire. So we just encourage you to watch out for that. We will no doubt send more information out through Community Matters in due course. Okay, so moving on to the next one. This is just again a very quick item again. So taking some feedback from some other community boards, we have decided that it's important to look at providing another session for community boards in regard to the local outcome improvement plans monitoring management framework. Just want again to put you on alert that we are aiming to deliver an information session on the evening of the 29th of March. The date hasn't been confirmed, it's just a save the date just now, and that we will share further information when it's been confirmed and further details are available. Okay, and the last thing for now, as some of you who are regular attendees of the board, you may have noticed the change of evening tonight. This was to accommodate some other boards. As you're probably aware, we can't live stream 2 boards at the same time because of our license that we have. So what we would like to do going forward is actually to seek the views of community board members about what and how we should progress with future meetings of the community board. So what we're proposing to do is to create a short poll that we will circulate very soon, and invite everyone to respond to that poll as to your favoured evening that you would like to see the community board meetings happening in the future, and we'll do our very best to try and accommodate going forward with that. Linked to that, you're probably aware that there's often questions asked about when can we return to face-to-face meetings, when or hybrid style. So we are currently exploring all of that, and I'm pleased to report that the Motherwell Community Board are actually doing the very first pilot of a hybrid style approach next week. And following that delivery style, we will come back. We'll obviously look to come back with some additional information on that. There is obviously a lot of technicality to doing a hybrid style approach, but we are very keen to offer that to people who prefer to do online, but whilst we're able to try our best to get back to in-person meetings as well. So watch this space on that, folks. Hopefully we'll have some good news to share in the coming months around that. So Chair, that's all for me just now. I'm happy to take any questions.
That's great, thanks Gary. I see James McKinstry want to come in, he's got his hand up. Want to add to that, James?
It's just a point in relation to in-person meetings or hybrid meetings. I think it would kind of just like to sort of put an invitation out to the board that if you wanted to have an in-person meeting and you wanted to have that in the new mains and St Bridget's community hub, we could arrange that, and that would let you get a chance to kind of kill two birds with one stone.
That sounds like a fabulous idea. Can that be first down the slide? Okay, so I'm sure that would be welcomed to everybody. It'd be really nice to get back and see actually people face to face again, and we're not going to have all these sound issues and feedback and things as well, and it'd be lovely to go up to see the new campus. We've got a couple of messages just to finish off in the chat bar, so just to pick up. I'm sure Gary will happily send Francis out the information to the Community Council, just all the stuff you mentioned there, Gary, about bricks and the sign, etc. I think she was talking about, so you can send that, would be great. And Donna is also put in the chat bar there the link to the new Couth app, which is what's online it's for care experienced youngsters and young adults. So maybe something that's really, really valuable tool there if you want to have a wee look at it. So I think we're wrapping up. Unless, Donna, do you want to come in and say something about that?
It was just to clarify that it's for all young people, however.
All young people.
It's for all young people from 10 to 18. However, it can be accessed up to the age of 26 if they've been care experienced.
I should know that because I read that email. Sorry.
No bother. No.
Thank you. Yep. So if you check that out, you might find it useful. Yep.
Sorry, could I just add, we've also got the Play Talk Read bus coming next week to Wishaw. So it's going to be there. So if you just want to share that with any families that you're in contact with or any sources, it's going to be coming next Tuesday. I'll share that on our social media as well.
Was that all the bags I saw getting packed at Law House today by any chance? So lots of maybe.
I might have to go and pick it all up next week.
So whereabouts is the bus going to be? Or is it doing the rounds?
It's going to be down at Glencastle's community development, and we're also going to be having a community cafe, so there'll be soup available. We'll have book bug sessions on. We've got Child Smile, we've got Scottish Fire and Rescue, and we will have and it's for under fives. As I say, we'll have the book bug making an appearance. Yeah. As well. So, yeah, it looks
that is next Friday, did you say? What date was that?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
So
I'm sure we can circulate all that information as well. So
that's lovely. Thank you.
All right. Okay, I think we're finished. Whew. And it's not as long as if you think that was long, then it's certainly not as long as I think Shots was about 3 hours the other night. So I think we're doing really well, guys, to keep that as brief and keep that within time. So thank you for everybody attending. Lovely to see you all, and lovely to see you all contributing as well. So we'll see you at the next one, and the next dates will be circulated. Okay, so make sure you've taken a note of all the information in the chat bar and all the emails, because I'm sure you're going to be networking after this. I hope you're going to be networking after it, and we'll see you the next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks there, Chair.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you.
Hey Matt, I don't know if you're there. That's us finished now.
That's another one over, so I'll leave you in peace. But thanks for all your hard work.
Can't see me get out of this meeting.
I know. Right, okay, see you later.
Stuck in it.
Bye.
You stuck in this meeting, Gary?
I'm struggling to find the buttons as well here, guys, to be honest with you, but it's maybe not a bad thing.
The X button's down the bottom, but it's not working for me.
And it's not even all the buttons have vanished for me. That's the problem I was having. Vic, I was meaning to reach out to you anyway. I know you'd been kind enough to offer some time for start of the week. I've just been in the process of onboarding some new volunteers to the group and to the board. And I'm now kind of completed that process. I was wondering maybe for myself and Gary whether a fortnight on Tuesday past might work. I think we'd mentioned the prospect of doing an evening one. You said that might be a possibility. Well, that's how I'd read it anyway, but it would be
I think we suggested early evening if possible.
Yeah. What would you class as early evening then? What would be ideal start time for you in that sense?
I don't know, Gary, what are you thinking? Kind of 4 or something? 4:30 or I'm not sure. You're on mute.
Just conscious that we're still on live stream.
I know. We better come out of this
Okay.
and contact you by email. Thank.
No worries, guys. That's
okay,
fine.
I'll just contact you by email. Okay, Mark? And we'll sort something
No worries, cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Right, it's breaking up a bit anyway.